Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming out. Today is Tuesday, October 7th, and welcome to the First Lieutenant Lee Fulton Clickner Bridge dedication. My name is Ed Preston. I'm the chairman of the Pennsylvania Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. I'd like to welcome you to the dedication of Bucks County Bridge number 304. Lee Clickner was a Langhorne resident, graduated from Neshaminy in 1963, killed in action almost 55 years ago to the day, October 25th, 1969. At this time, I'd like to ask the Washington Crossing National Cemetery Guardians, along with Russ Callis and Tiffany McKen, to present the colors, please.
Detail, hope, veil, faith.
Present arms. Post the color. And salute. Left face. Forward.
And now Gus Callis for the Pledge of Allegiance and Tiffany McKinney for the National Anthem.
I'd like to ask everyone to silence their phones. Civilians, hand over heart. All others, hand salute on command. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ready? Two.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready? Two.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'd like to call on Don Minnick, Commander of American Legion Post 148, for an invocation.
Morning, everyone. Hard to believe in October of 1969, I was 15 years old, and I had a brother in Vietnam. Let us pray, uncover. Eternal rest grant unto Lee, O Lord, and let the perpetual light shine upon Lee. Father, look kindly on your departed veterans who have gave their lives in the service of their country. Grant that through the passion, death, and resurrection of your Son, that they shall share in the joy of heavenly kingdom. Amen.
Thank you, Don. October 7th, almost 55 years to the day when Lee was killed in action. Small arms fire. We're not sure of exactly the circumstances, but we do know that in his time in Vietnam, Vince and I have discussed it, and so is the other man that does our research, Greg. And I said it before, accommodations and medals don't make a man, but they certainly show you the personality and the character of a man. Lee was awarded not only a Bronze Star, but a Silver Star, but also 2 Purple Hearts. His dedication to community and service was exemplary. This is our 19th bridge dedication with the county, our 27th for our organization. We're quite proud of what we've done so far. And again, Lee today has granted us a beautiful day. Thank you, Lee. His family is watching online. So those of you watching online, welcome. We hope you enjoy the dedication. And thank you for your sacrifice to the Clickner family. I'd like to recognize Ashley Conaway from Senator Frank Farry's office joining us today. Thank you for their support. At this time, I'd like to introduce Middletown Supervisor Bernadette Hanna and recognize Dana Kane and the new Middletown manager. I'm sorry, I forget Eden. I forget his last name. I'm sorry. I didn't write it down. But please.
Good morning. It is my distinct honor to join you today, and also John in Penn State, First Lieutenant Lee's Fulton Clickner's brother in Penn State, but also family and friends from the neighborhood from him growing up. I'm here today first as a grateful American, but also as a proud daughter of a Vietnam vet and a Middletown Township supervisor. I am privileged to attend this dedication of this bridge in honor of First Lieutenant Lee Fulton Clickner. The Bucks County Vietnam Veterans Memorial Bridge Program, with the commitment and diligence of Mr. Preston, have ensured that we remember our soldiers who died serving our country. Born on May 18, 1945 in Langhorne, Bucks County, Lee embodied the values and service, leadership, and commitment from a young age. He answered his nation's call during one of the most turbulent times in our history, serving as an infantry unit commander with the 198th Light Infantry Brigade, 1st Battalion, 52nd Infantry, E Company. Lieutenant Clickner began his tour in Vietnam on June 14, 1969. Just a few months later, in October 25, 1969, in Quang Nam Province, South Vietnam, he made the ultimate sacrifice. He was 24 years old. His name is etched forever on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, a lasting testament to his courage and devotion and duty. He was awarded the Purple Heart in recognition of that sacrifice. And almost 55 years to the day of his passing, we stand together to dedicate this bridge, not merely as a structure of steel and stone, but as a living tribute. As Bucks County reminds us, bridges don't just connect land, they connect people. Today, our bridges connects our community to Lee's legacy, ensuring that his name and his history will endure for generations to come. We have the honor and opportunity to remember the sacrifices of First Lieutenant Lee Fulton Clickner and his family. This bridge reminds us that we must be united in remembering our fallen soldiers and heroes and the significance of serving our community, our country, and connecting to others. Those who knew Lee remember him as a kind, funny, athletic, and full of life. One friend reflected, Lee was a terrific guy and a good friend. We assumed life would go on forever, but it didn't for Lee. Another fellow officer candidate wrote simply, on October 25th, 1969, 8,000 miles away from home, a soldier fell. As a daughter of a Vietnam veteran, I am deeply mindful of the sacrifices made by service members and their families, sacrifices that often ripple quietly through time. Today, we give voice to that legacy. We honor not only Lieutenant Clickner's service, but also the community that raised him, remembers him, and now ensures that his name will be seen, spoken, and honored every time this bridge is crossed. May this dedication stand as a lasting symbol of gratitude from a community that will never forget. Thank you.
Well said. This program goes on and continues to go on because of our help with the county. And that's really Bob Harvey, is who I spoke with almost 3 years ago now, Bob, that we've been doing this. And without the county's continued support, we couldn't do this. So I'd like to introduce Bob Harvey, County Commissioner.
Thank you, Ed. I know Ed was going to thank a lot of people, and certainly the county. It's our honor to be part of this program, but Ed deserves credit as well as the organization he works with, Pennsylvania Vietnam Veterans Memorial. So thank you, Ed, for all the work that you do in this. I want to recognize our Honor Guard as well, the Warriors Watch, as well as the Washington Crossing Honor Guard is here. We thank them and all the members of the local American Legion who are here. So, as a first lieutenant, Lieutenant Clickner was not just a soldier in Vietnam. He was a leader of men. He led his platoon, his company, on patrols, doing the work that was asked of him and of them. And he wore the added responsibility with those bars on his shoulders of responsibility for every man in his unit, to make sure that they were trained, equipped, to make sure they knew their mission, understood it, and to try to get them all back home safely every single time. We again don't know the circumstances specific of his death and of the patrol he was on, but we can probably rest assured that as someone who is recognized as officer candidate material, and someone who achieved that rank, that he certainly would have done everything he could do to protect the rest of his men, even if it cost him his own life. He was, as you heard, 24 years old. It's interesting to think about the parallels. I used to be a high school social studies teacher teaching 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds, and when you talk to them about people who served in the military, whether it was World War I or II or Korea or Vietnam or current conflicts, and talked about people who were 22, 23, 24, the age seemed so old to them, 15 and 16-year-olds. 24, oh boy, that's old. My daughter turns 24 in about 2 weeks, and she is still my little girl. And so it's interesting to think about Lieutenant Clickner having that responsibility at that young age, serving his men, serving his country, and performing the ultimate sacrifice. So this honor is obviously the least that we can do to recognize him and make sure that his name will be remembered on behalf of a grateful county and a grateful nation. So thank all of you for being here in honor of him. And certainly we thank his family. Know they could not be here, for allowing us to honor your relative, your brother, on this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I'd like to introduce Matt Allen, head of the VA Veterans Affairs for Bucks County.
To the Clickner family watching, I say this at every dedication. I wish that we didn't have to do these dedications. He paid the ultimate sacrifice, and with this dedication, his memory will last forever. I would like to thank Middletown Police for blocking off this street and keeping us safe today, and to commissioners for allowing these dedications to continue on. We give voice to a soldier who answered the nation's call and gave everything he had in the sacrifice of freedom. First Lieutenant Lee Fulton Clickner, like so many young Americans during the Vietnam War, stood up when the country needed him. Many didn't have a choice. They did not seek glory or recognition, simply believed in the bond between soldiers and nation, and in the brotherhood that exists between those who wear the uniform of the U.S. Army. That brotherhood is like no other. In the fields and in the jungles, probably worse than what this looks like, face challenges that most of us can scarcely imagine. Yet through hardship, uncertainty, and fear, he carried himself with courage, loyalty, and heart. Over 58,000 Americans, to include the 136 from Bucks County, are not forgotten and will never be forgotten. Like Middletown Supervisor stated, each name is etched in a granite stone in Washington, D.C. That's a little bit of a hike for us to get there to see the names. So these bridge dedications allow us, for the Bucks County residents who paid the ultimate sacrifice, to continue their legacy. We dedicate this bridge. We have the utmost gratitude for him, and we speak his name so that it will never fade into history. We remember not how he died, but how he lived. As we stand here today together, we renew our promise that we will never forget First Lieutenant. We will never forget. Will everyone please say that with me? We will never forget. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Matt. Forgetting is the hardest part, and I'm sure talking with as many Gold Star families as I've been able to speak with, I've had the honor to speak with, that is their biggest fear. Forget. The legacy of their family member is forgotten. Their name is never spoken again. Their memory just fades off as their family gets older and fades away. So with this program, we're able to make sure that at least these 136 men will never be forgotten. So I like that. At this time, I'd like to ask Bill and Jackie Stout to come on up. So Bill and Jackie grew up with the Clickner family and have been integral in helping me be able to put some things together to help dedicate this bridge to Lee. Doing some of the research and looking at his life, I found it funny, and again, talking with Vince, he graduated Neshaminy High School in 1963. That's 18 and 19 years before Vince and I. His wrestling coach was Mr. Poff. It's hard to believe that he was our teacher too, and still a little rough guy. But I can just imagine Mr. Poff back then in 1963. He must have been a hard coach because he made a hard guy. Talking with Mr. Vile back there a little earlier, he also recalled Lee as a wrestler and having to move up from 103 to 112. So Lee, when he went into the service, was 112 pounds. But he was wrestling at 103 for a while and then had to move up because he was being beat by the guy that was the state champ. Lee later went on to become the state champ at 112. So again, dedication, determination, I think defines Lee Clickner. I think that Bob is right. He guided his men into whatever took place, and he guided them with courage, with measure and confidence. So in honor of First Lieutenant Lee Fulton Clickner, I'd like Jackie to unveil the sign dedicating this bridge in his honor. Thank you. Lee's family couldn't be here, but again, hopefully they're watching. But we've got some letters that we were written by his childhood friends that I'd like to have read right now. So if I could have Don and Jane come on up to read a few letters that we've gotten from his family friends from when they were growing up.
I'm reading this on behalf of Jackie Stout. Growing up in Langhorne, we never imagined that one day our friends would be killed in Vietnam. We grew up with Lee. We were just neighborhood kids playing baseball in the field. Lee was small, so he was known as Pee-wee. It took a long time for him to lose that nickname. We started first grade together and graduated from Neshaminy in 1963. Lee was on the wrestling team and one of the smartest kids in our class. He had just graduated from Penn State University when he went into the Army and signed up for Officers Candidate School and became First Lieutenant, Infantry Unit Commander. His older brother Wayne was not happy about his decision to choose infantry. He was sent to Vietnam and was there for 4 months before being killed by enemy gunfire. He was only 24 years old. We will never forget the day we learned the news of Lee's death. It is just as heartbreaking today as it was on October 25th, 1969, because he did not get the chance to live his life. His medals are on display at Jesse Sobey Post 148 in Langhorne.
I'm going to read a letter here from Steve Sherman. I met Lee at the start of first grade. We had just moved in around the corner and met each other at the school bus stop. We were good friends all through school. We were in the Boy Scouts together. We roomed together at the college at Penn State. Lee's brother Wayne was also in the same house. Lee was one of the most determined, hard-working individuals you could ever meet. He played on the defensive line in Chamonix High School football team, and even only at the weight of 130 pounds, but would fiercely tackle opposing players who were much bigger. Lee was a very good student, especially in mathematics. He was a champion wrestler in high school, where he went on as a state champion tournament and did very well. When Lee and I were near our graduation day from Penn State, we both received our draft notices on the same day. We were there to report for duty just days after graduation. A couple of days later, Lee, back from class, told me he was going to take a test to get into the Air Force and become a pilot like his older brother John. He invited me to come and take the test too. I had only been in an airplane once in my life, and I had motion sickness. At that, I decided that flying airplanes would probably be better than joining the Army. So I joined Lee in going to the recruiter to take the test. We both passed the test, but it turns out Lee's eyesight wasn't 20/20, and the Air Force turned him down. Because of that, Lee went into the Army recruiter and signed up to go to officer training school and became a second lieutenant before being assigned to go to Vietnam. Many times I thought about how fortuitous it was for me that Lee asked me to take that test. Just before leaving Southeast Asia, he and his college sweetheart, the love of his life, got married. I can't recall her name. After a year in the United States Air Force Flight School, I arrived in Vietnam in 1969. Just before I left the States, I learned of the death of Lee. It was a very sad day for me. I have no doubt that Lee died in the line of fire to save his men under his command. He was a leader who was absolutely to be the first one to step forward. Whether it was for his family, friends, or for his country, Lee Clickner would be the first one to stand tall. That's just the way he was.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Jane. So the words of friends make the difference in what we see. Again, medals don't make a man, but his character does. And his character throughout everything that we hear and see and we read tells a story of a man who could have done great things with his life, but instead he gave it for us to be able to live our life in freedom, to live our life with hope, and live our life the way we choose. I'd like to introduce Tiffany McKinney again to sing God Bless America.
And salute.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Ready, two.
Thank you, Tiffany. This time I'd like to introduce Peter Chung, Head of the Veterans Affairs for U.S. Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick's office.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We gather here today to dedicate this bridge in honor of First Lieutenant Lee Fulton Clickner, a husband, a son, a brother, a soldier of courage, and a man whose service and sacrifice continue to bridge generations. Born and raised with the values of duty, honor, and country, First Lieutenant Clickner answered his nation's call without any hesitation. He served with distinction in the United States Army, first being assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division, and then deploying to Vietnam under the 23rd Infantry Division, also known as the Americal Division. On October 25th, 1969, First Lieutenant Clickner gave his life in the service of freedom. He was just beginning his journey as a leader, one who inspired trust, who carried the weight of responsibilities for others, and who believed that freedom was worth defending even at the highest cost. Today, as this bridge takes on his name, it becomes more than just a bridge. It becomes a living memorial. Each time people pass over this bridge, look up at the sign and ask, who was First Lieutenant Lee Clickner? His story will live on. His name will echo across this river and serve as a reminder that price of liberty is never free. and that courage is measured not in years lived, but in the love and loyalty shown to others. May they remember First Lieutenant Clickner, who once crossed oceans to protect the freedoms we now enjoy. And may this bridge stand for generations as a symbol of faith, service, and the enduring strength of the American spirit. To the Clickner family who is not able to be here, thank you. Thank you for the sacrifices you have borne, for the memories you have kept alive, and for allowing this community to share in honoring First Lieutenant Lee's legacy. Thank you, and may God bless the memory of First Lieutenant Lee Fulton Clickner and all who serve in defense of our great nation. And at this time, I would like to present a flag that was flown over the United States Capitol to Jackie to present to the family of the Clickners.
Thank you, Peter. This time I'd like to introduce County Commissioner Diane Marseglia.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you, everybody, for being here today, and special gratitude to Lee's family. It's great to be able to honor you today. You know, psychologists tell us that we all tell ourselves stories about our lives and other people's lives, and when there's blanks, we fill them in. And so I stand here today as we're on this bridge thinking of how many times I crossed this growing up around here, how many times I took my children to parties or to play dates crossing this bridge or nearby. And now it will always be different, because now I have pieces to Lee's story and a place to always remember him. I think that's probably my favorite part of these bridges, is being able to fill in those blanks. The other part is that these bridges are transitions, and they help us understand the transition that Lee went through during his life when he was in Vietnam, and the transition that his family and friends probably still go to. When I was out looking for things about Lee on the virtual web, I saw that a friend of his from high school kind of told that same thing about having blanks in your story. He said they graduated together and had been friends, and that he thought he'd heard that Lee had been killed in Vietnam, but that he kind of put it in the back of his head and didn't believe it. Until he went on the internet in early 2000 and saw it on the virtual wall, and he said that he had to deal with reality then and confirm what happened. And one of the things he said in that post was that Lee was a great guy. A bunch of us guys hung out and fooled around like lots of school-age friends. We cracked jokes. We assumed life would be good forever. Lee is special, he said. I will never forget him. And he ended by saying that he wanted to thank Lee for helping to make all of our futures bright through his sacrifice. So I thank you for letting me speak and remember him today, too.
Thank you, Diane. The bridge is a gateway. It is a gateway that many of us pass over. There's a guy on a bike right behind me getting ready to cross over it. I ride over this bridge again every week almost. And it will have a new meaning for me as well. I will add this bridge to my ride, and I will now have a 7-bridge ride that I can go over. And I go over 7 of the bridges we've dedicated in one of my rides on my bike, and it's really, for me, it's lethargic to be able to ride over them again. Think about the families that we've touched. Think about the memories that will continue, and know that the men that we've dedicated to will all be remembered. They will not be forgotten. This is the final dedication for 2025. We'll start working on 2026, I'm sure, very soon. So if you are a Gold Star family or friend of one of our 136 we've not dedicated a bridge to yet, feel free to reach out to myself, Vince, commissioners, Matt Allen, Peter Chung, any one of us, please. We'd like to find out who you are, where you are, and dedicate a bridge in your family's honor. That is the most important part, is being able to connect family to these bridges. It's not always possible. I can say that in all the bridges that we've done, there's only been one that we were not able to locate a family. I'm still looking for Mr. Rice's family. But with that, I'd like to introduce Jim McDevitt to sound taps and retreat the colors, please.
and salute.
Detail. Present arms. Detail. Break the tape. Forward arm. Forward arm.
Thank you all for coming and spending a day with us. And Lee, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.